This is Sherry Andrea, and I appreciate you. And today, doing the recording is my son, Tyler Hanshaw. Tyler, say hi. Hi. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a dowsing rod. So I want to show you some of the things you can need. This is probably the simplest way to make it other than using a wood forked stick. Okay, so I have 2 straws. It really doesn't matter what color they are. I have wire cutters, and you're going to need 2 like wire hangers like this. You're used to getting them from the dry cleaner and they look like this, and we take the paper off of them. You're going to need two of these. Okay, and then once we're done with the wire, we end up with 2 pieces of wire that look like this, and we kind of straighten them out as best we can. This doesn't have to be perfect, like exact. So you can see how straight I got it. You can see there's still a little crimp in here where I straightened the wire out. That's okay. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do to start with is actually show you how to make it, and then I'm going to show you how I take the paper off and untwist the wire. Okay, the reason why I have the measuring tape is because you're going to cut 2 pieces 20 inches each, and you do want to kind of make sure that they're the same length. So see, I just used my wire cutter and made sure they were the exact same length. Okay, so now the dowsing rods, where they're going to be bent is you're going to bend about 5 inches on the end. So you can take your measuring tape. I mean, you can estimate it too if you need to. If it's not exactly 5 inches, it's not going to hurt anything. Also, if you're a man, you may want to test this out by like kind of holding it right here where the 5 inches would be, because if your hand is a lot bigger than mine, you might need more than 5 inches. So but for a woman, 5 inches is going to be good. For a man, you might need to go up to 6 inches. So keep that in mind. Okay, we're going to bend ours at 5 inches. Well, we'll bend ours. I'm going to bend ours at 6 inches as well. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because a lot of times I like to kind of bend the ends so that I don't have to ever worry about scratching myself. We got to bend the ends anyway. So we're going to bend about right there. Now, you can use needle nose pliers to do the bending. I'm using the locking pliers just because I wanted it to be easier for myself. So I am going to grab and lock on at about 6 inches. And like I said, okay, I need to make an adjustment here. Hold on one second. Okay. Like I said, you don't have to be exact. If you do one and it doesn't come out totally the exact same way the other one did, you know, like, don't freak out. Not a big deal. Okay, I'm locking it, and now I'm going to bend it with my hand like this because I'm trying to get a nice clean bend. Now you can make a little adjustment later. You don't really need to use like a hammer or anything. So you see why it was easier to use locking pliers, but you can use any needle nose pliers to bend it. I always make adjustments to make sure it's nice and straight. So what you're going for is an L shape like this. Okay, so pretty much, the cool thing is that at this point, we're pretty much almost done. Now, if you were wondering what the straws are for, the straws are to use as grips. So I'm going to estimate, and you might have to cut a couple of times to get this exactly right for yourself. The other thing you need is a pair of scissors, of course. Okay, now I'm going to cut about right here. And like I said, you may need to test this out. You may need to make a couple of cuts. This is pretty good, but you got to keep in mind, I'm going to bend the end. You're going to bend the end not only to keep the straw on, but also so that this won't scratch you. The wire can like scratch and poke you pretty bad. So I'm just going to cut the straw a little bit more. Like I said, none of this has to be exact. So there we go. Now we have enough to bend. So with the straw on, I'm going to take the locking pliers and I'm just going to lock it, and I'm just going to bend the end. Now, this might be a little bit hard for you, but okay, there we go. And then I'm going to, if you can kind of crimp it down just a little bit more, just so that it's not, that's if you can, just so that it's not sticking out. Let's see if I can do it. It takes, this wire is thick, so it might take you a couple of tries to get it bent as much as you really need to. There we go. That's where, I mean, if you have the needle nose pliers, that would be best to use when you try to finish bending. You don't want to bend it all the way, you know, just enough so you don't want the straw to come off, and you also don't want to bend it to the point where it's pushing on your straw. The reason why is because look, where I have it now, it freely moves, right? That's what you want for, oh, sorry. That's what you want for a dowsing rod, is for it to freely move like this, okay? So then we do the other one. Okay, we're going to measure the 6 inches. And feel free, any of you, to make comments to people, letting them know how you would do it if you want to. If you would use different tools, feel free to make a comment saying, you know, how you would have done it, different tools you would have used, what you would have used instead of straws, because there are other things you can use. I just think this is the easiest way. Okay, now I'm going to take my green straw, and remember, oops, hold on. It doesn't have to be exact. Measuring the straw, and I will tell you how much straw I had. I can just make it the same length, cut a little bit more. Then I got the same length. I'll tell you how long the straw is in case you want to know. Okay, so I basically cut the straw 5 1/4 inches. So there you go. So if you do the bend at 6 inches, cut 5 1/4 inches from the straw length. Then we're going to bend the very end of this one. There we go. And you can see this is pretty quick and easy to make. So you don't have to like buy a dowsing rod or use expensive materials. You basically can use what you have on hand at home. Okay, so that's good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect, like I said. Okay, now you have your dowsing rods. So your dowsing rods, you basically hold like this, okay? You basically hold the dowsing rods like this. Okay, so dowsing rods, they're just like any other tool. Tarot cards, pendulums, they basically do nothing all on their own, because what makes them move is the energy that's running through you. So by themselves, they don't do anything. They're not magical. But a dowsing rod works based off of your own energy that's running through your body. So I will demonstrate. Okay, I haven't used dowsing rods in a really long time, so bear with me. Okay, so when we're just standing here, sometimes they'll move a little bit, depending on what you're thinking about, what's going on. Sometimes they'll move a little bit, but basically they're pretty much stationary, right? Okay, so now I'm going to take a deep breath, and you can watch and see what happens. That's just an example. Okay, so when I was breathing, what I was basically doing was raising my vibrations. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to think of something that emits a really strong feeling of love. So I'm going to think about the day my son was born, okay? And now you're going to watch what the dowsing rods do. Okay, so just off of the thought that was in my head, the dowsing rods moved. And I was, it also will move off of, let's say you're repeatedly saying a phrase that is a high vibrating phrase. Okay, so we'll try that now. What if I just repeatedly say, okay, I love you, 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 I love you. So as you can see, even saying a high vibrating phrase also makes it move. Okay, so what if, now you can test this out. Let's say one day you're really, I don't know if I can do this, I'll try for you, but what if you're kind of angry, you're kind of pissed off at something, or you're thinking negative thoughts. Okay, let's see what the dowsing rods will do now. See? Now they're not going very wide. Sometimes you can, they're still going. I'm thinking about a person that usually like really annoys me. No, I'm not thinking of my son. My son's pointing at himself. No, I'm not thinking of you. And although that will probably work, I'm thinking of times when you're like giving me a hard time. But you can see the power of even my thought, because even towards the end there, when I kind of stopped, the dowsing rods were still kind of inching their way out, right? That shows you the power of your own thoughts. Be careful what you think, because you're sending that energy out. Now, for those of you who are all ready to post some negative comments saying I'm a Christian and you're evil and you're going to hell, these are not, this is no religious symbol. This is not really, I don't consider this to be metaphysical, because like what I said, these don't do anything by themselves. Sitting here on the kitchen counter, these are not going to move. It is the energy within you. So, if you're religious, if you're Christian, and you're thinking these are evil, they're not. They're based on your own energy and your own light. They're actually a good method to use to test where you're at while you're praying, how well you're doing, to test your, and the way how I used to use them, the reason why I made them for myself, is when I started practicing the law of attraction and Reiki, because I was trying to increase my vibrations, trying to increase how much high vibrating energy I was sending out. So as I was doing my work and sending out high vibrating energy, I would hold the dowsing rods to make sure I had really upped my vibrations and was really sending out a powerful enough energy. So that was the reason why I was using them. Somebody might just use them, I guess, to test the effectiveness of their prayers or their spiritual work, whether it's praying, saying mantras, decrees. But like I said, by themselves, they don't do anything. By themselves, they're not any magical type of device. But now, the last thing I'm going to show you, now that we've made the dowsing rods, is, remember I said you were going to start with a hanger. and I was going to tell you how to do this, because it can be difficult. Okay, so the first thing I do is I rip the paper off like this. Just rip the paper right off. This is probably the easiest part of making the dowsing rod, sticking the paper
Making a mess.
Okay, so now what I do is I kind of grab it like kind of near the neck. Now I guess you could bend it out a little bit to make it easier, but I grab it with my hand like this. I grab the top like this, and I basically just start twisting it. Now this isn't easy. You do need to use some strength. Oh, I'm twisting the freaking wrong way. So there you go, and I just twisted it apart. Now, it's okay, you don't have to straighten the ends or anything, so don't worry about that. See this? These ends right here? You're not going to need those anyway. I just straighten it out as much as possible. Okay, see? And then you straighten the rest of the way. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you want to get a hammer and to hammer it down, really straighten it out. Or, now I have wire in my bedroom that I could have used a roll of wire if I really wanted to really make nicer ones, thicker wire that wouldn't have any cribs in it. I could have done that too. So if you go to Home Depot, ask them where they keep their wire hanger that you use to hang pictures. Buy a roll. It's only, a big roll is only like $5, and it comes in 2 different thicknesses, 2 different gauges. So if you really want to buy wire so that you don't have to do this, you can. So basically, once I got the wire straightened out, all I did, I first used my wire cutters and I cut one end off. Oh, sorry. I cut one end off.
Stop trying to kill the cameraman.
I'm sorry. That's what you need to make sure, be careful while you're doing this, because when you cut the wire, it does kind of go flying. Okay, and then I'm just going to measure it.
Yeah, you put it in the sink.
I know, I got to get that out before it goes down the garbage disposal. Okay, and then you're just going to measure it to 20 inches. And you're going to just cut it. There we go. Okay. And there we go. I mean, other than straightening it out a little bit more, we pretty much have one of our wires. And like I said, you need 2 hangers because you won't have enough. You won't have enough left over to do the other one. Yeah, I guess you could do shorter than 20 inches. You can try it out and see how it feels, but I do like doing it 20 inches. I think for me it's worked the best. You're just going to straighten it out, and like I said, you saw when I started with just 2 wires. There you go. You're all ready to make it. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. Now the reason why I made the video was because somebody did email me a question about dowsing rods, and their question was, do I need to get an attunement, like a Reiki attunement or something, to be able to do dowsing? The answer is obviously no. You saw me just do it, and you saw me practice with them. So no, you don't need to get an attunement. You don't need to do anything special. Once you make them, you're ready to go, and you're ready to practice with them, do whatever you plan to do with them. So no, there's nothing special you need to do with yourself. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. And let's thank Tyler for doing the recording. Thank you, Tyler. And thank you for listening, and I appreciate you. Namaste.